From Footscray City, Melbourne, Lower Clarence, Sydney on this side of the course. And they'll be seeing what they can muster here in this last 300 metres. Mersey Composite haven't made a big enough impression on the top two, but they've certainly given the Melbourne UTS Sydney crew a little bit to worry about in that third 500 metres as they're starting to push up a little bit. They're only 4.35 back off the medals through the 1500 metre mark. And if they've got a pretty handy sprint, they can certainly put some pressure on that UTS Composite crew out of lane number 4. But Taylor McCarthy-Smith, as she's done all week, has been able to look out of her peripheral vision and see the rest of the athletes in the field in which she's been racing. And the same can be said here. A very good last 500 metres coming from the Georgia Bradley, Adelaide Scott, Lily Cathcart and Sky Frobel combination. They've just started to push ahead of the Footscray City, Melbourne, Lower Clarence and Sydney crew out of lane number 6 and into the silver medal spot. So the medals have been decided. And Taylor McCarthy-Smith will take out the single scull, double scull and quad scull, this time with Laura Blazek, Lexi Nothdurft and Lauren Smith. Silver medal goes to Melbourne UTS Sydney and the bronze medal to Footscray City, Melbourne, Lower Clarence, Sydney. Fourth to Mersey, Lindisfarne and St Patrick's from Ballarat. And in fifth place will be Toowong from Brisbane in Queensland, followed by Radford College from the Australian Capital Territory. Centenary, Griffith University, Service Paradise and Somerset College will be 7th. And in 8th place, the University of Queensland and Sydney University Boat Club.
And the unofficial result for race 417, the under-19 women's quad scull, with the first place, Brisbane and GPS Composite, in a time of 6:56.76. Second place, Melbourne Composite. Third place, Footscray City Composite. Fourth, Mersey Composite. Fifth, Toowong. Radford in 6th place. Centenary Composite in 7th. And 8th goes to the University of Queensland Composite. The presentation of the medals for the LTA Mixed Coxed 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Gordon Marks, Rowing Australia Head Para Coach. In third place, and our bronze medalists, representing Balmain and Presbyterian Ladies College and ANU, Matilda Slater-Phillips, Ruby Sutherland, James Talbot, and Kevin Wall. Renee Domachens. Coaches, Anne Craig, Liam James and Barbara Ramjan. In second place, and our silver medalists, representing Presbyterian Ladies College, ANU and Nestles. Sue Donoghue. Chris Horsfall. Ian Cooper. Lauren Webber. And Lucy Froggatt. Coaches Liam James, Nix Hunter and Matthew Donnellan. Our gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, representing Tasmania University, Mersey Rowing Club, University of Queensland and Sandy Bay Rowing Club. Alistair Chong, Mac Russell, Emma Jago, Sarah Weitzer, and Cox Penelope Bowman. Coaches Mark Stott and Michael Russell. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we have our next race, race 418, the under-19 men's quadruple scull final. Lane 1, Brisbane Grammar. Lane 2, Griffith University Surfers Paradise Composite. Lane 3, Sydney University. Lane 4, the Southport School. Lane 5, Launceston. Lane 6, Mossman. Lane 7, Swan River Composite. And lane 8, Toowong.
And through the 1,000-metre mark, it was Mossman Rowing Club from Sydney, New South Wales that was leading, and they were leading in a time of 3:05.21 and just 1.1 seconds back to the Southport School that contains Cormac, Kennedy, Leverett. Will it be a morning for double-barrelled surnames from Queensland? And we saw Taylor McCarthy-Smith take out the single-double quad, and Cormac Kennedy Leverett took out the single scull for under-19s for the second year running. He's in the Southport School crew. Launceston with big Jack Barrett there. Launceston College out of lane number 5. They were third through the halfway mark. Sydney University 4th. Toowong 5th. Swan River Composite in 6th. And Brisbane Grammar in 7th place. And Toowong on this side of the course back in 8th place. But Mossman still continue to hold the advantage. Felix Dado, Bjarne Ungermack and Daniel Samus, those three row at St Augustine's. Ash Nichols from the King's School also rows out of the Mossman Club. And Matt Ungermack, the father of Bjarne Ungermack, the holder of the world best time from 1991, the oldest in the FISA record books from the men's coxed 4. And Bjarne's mother, also a very, very accomplished rower, a bronze medalist in the women's 8 in 1992 and a gold medal in the women's 8 in 1988 Seoul Olympics. And still Mossman Rowing Club leading in the red and white hoops as they come through the 1,500 metre mark. And they are out to just over 3/4 of a length. Daniel Samus, we saw at the New South Wales Schoolboy Head of the River, go 7:11 in a single scull in following conditions. Very accomplished sculler. And they're still maintaining to hold an advantage over the Southport School in second spot, and in third spot, Launceston College with Connor Ryan, Matthew Dickenberg, big Jack Barrett there, and Lars Gillingham Jack Barrett sporting a hairstyle I haven't seen in about 20 years. It's really business at the front and party at the back, and hopefully he'll have plenty to celebrate with a medal here in this under-19 men's quadruple sculls. Sydney University in the yellow boat are trying to give Launceston College plenty to think about in this last couple of 100 metres, and it's those four crews from where the medals will be decided. Sydney University make their charge onto the Launceston College crew. They've got a little bit of an overlap and just starting to reel them in a touch, but it is Mossman Rowing Club that are clear. Felix Datto, Bjarne Ungemak, Ash Nichols and Daniel Samus, and Mossman Rowing Club will take out the men's under-19 quadruple sculls. I'll do so with clear water over the rest of the field. The Southport School with Cormac Kennedy Leverett will have to be content with the silver medal. Launceston College hold on for bronze, just half a length back to Sydney University Boat Club in fourth place. The Griffith University, Townsville and James Cook University A&A Composite, they place fifth. Sixth goes to Brisbane Grammar, seventh to the Swan River Composite with Adelaide University and West Australian Rowing Club, and Toowong place eighth.
Our unofficial results of race 418, the under-19 men's quadruple scull. The winner and the gold medal, Mossman, in a time of 6 minutes and 13 seconds, 0.7. Second, the Southport School, Launceston in third. Fourth, Sydney University. Griffith University Surfers Paradise in fifth. Sixth, Brisbane Grammar. Seventh, Swan River Composite. And Toowong in eighth. Presentation of the Under-19 Women's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Bernard Savage, Rowing Australia High Performance Director. In third place, and our bronze medalists representing Footscray City, Melbourne, Lower Clarence and Sydney. Lauren Lyon, Crystal Piper, Charlotte Morris and Ruby Bray. Coach Lachlan Carter. In second place, and our silver medalists representing Melbourne Rowing Club, UTS Rowing Club and Sydney Rowing Club. Georgia Bradley, Adelaide Scott, Lily Cathcart and Sky Frobel. Coaches David Orchard, David Jelly and Lachlan Carter. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017 are participating in another race just about to come down. They're represented by Brisbane and GPS, Townsville and JCU and commercial rowing clubs. Laura Blazek, Lexi Northdrift, Lauren Smith and Taylor McCarthy Smith. Coaches John Trovis, Eleanor Wilson and David Dancer. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we have a race start in race 419, the under-17 women's coxed quad scull. Lane 1, Brisbane and GPS and Commercial Rowing Club. Lane 2, University of Queensland Composite. Lane 3, University of Tasmania Composite. Lane 4, Toowong. Lane 5, Somerville. Lane 6, Coffs Harbour Composite. Lane 7, Sydney Composite. And 8, Canberra Girls Grammar.
So Somerville House would be the favourites for this one. Phoebe Howe, Lucy Hope, Laura Chancellor, Ella Hudson. Laura Chancellor and Ella Hudson won the under-17 women's single scull, and in the double scull, and in the single scull it was Ella Hudson that was first, and Laura Chancellor that was second. Alexandra Sambanis, Gilly, Coxon and Reese Jones, Oleg Shishkin and Peter Herbert, the coaches of the crew. They are always there or thereabouts, the Somerville House program. They've been very, very strong for so many years. Of course, one of their great peaks, 2005, they had a very, very good Schoolgirl 8 back then with the powerful Erin Hootenmeister as part of that crew. And it is Ella Hudson that's having a great championships as she tries to make 3 in a row here in the sculling events. And they're out to the best part of 2/3 of a boat length. Over the crew alongside of them from Toowong, Mackenzie Durbridge, Amy Bolton, Kirsten Villiern and Sophie Gerber. Coxed by Georgia Peterson and coached by Andrew Gerber, Alex Field and Harry Norris. And they're the top 2 as they make their way up towards the 900 metre mark. So Somerville House with half a boat length over Toowong in second spot. And those 2 crews are just starting to push out a very good placing there for the University or Tasmanian University Huon Derwent Mercantile Collegiate crew of Morgan, King, Boucher and Bain. And they're currently in third spot as they just start to make their way up towards the 1,000 metre mark. And on the far side of the course, Brisbane and GPS Composite doing quite well. So that is Sarah Robinson, Alexandra Rooney, Charlotte Jenkins and Jessica Corganow. Still Somerville House that are leading Toowong. They've got the margin out to 2.5 seconds and just starting to see if they can break the contact that the crew from Toowong has had with them. And now just starting to see some clear water now, and it's always good to see when you can drive the legs down and start to see the crews just get that little bit further away from you in the distance. And Somerville House is very, very well placed here as they come into the third 500 metres from Toowong in second spot and Tasmanian University Boat Club, Huon Derwent Mercantile Collegiate, the composite crew from Tasmania, in third place. Fourth, Brisbane and GPS Composite with Commercial, and then followed by the Sydney Composite crew out of lane number 7. That's Bolam, Bongrain, Reiner and McDonald on this side of the course. So some good length coming from Somerville House. And they're really patient on the slide and letting that boat do a lot of run for them so they can conserve that energy to really put onto the foot stretcher for that next stroke. And that's what sees them move clear of the rest of the field as they're coming through 1,450 metres, enjoying clear water and seeing the rest of the crews really start to think about scrapping it out for the minor medals as they look to have things very much stitched up here coming into the last quarter. In second spot we have Toowong. Alongside of them, Durbridge, Bolton, Villione and Gerber, and they're then followed by Tasmanian University Composite out of lane number 3, and just 2.1 seconds back to Brisbane and GPS Commercial on the far side of the course in 4th place. And then we look across to this side, to the 3 crews on this side that are having good tussle. Sydney Composite, Coffs Harbour Composite and Canberra Girls Grammar School. And then in final place is the University of Queensland Composite crew over second from the far side of the course. So Ella Hudson, the younger sister of Harriet Hudson, the Australian sculler in the World Junior team last year that placed 6th in the A final. And she's certainly making a name for herself at these championships. Winner of the single scull, winner of the double scull with Laura Chancellor, who sits behind her in the 3 seat. And just a couple of 100 metres or less away from taking out the gold medal in this one. The Tasmanian University Composite crew finishing it off strongly and starting to challenge Toowong for the silver medal. And on the far side of the course, Brisbane and GPS Commercial are in 4th place and have a little bit too much to do to try and get themselves onto the medal presentation pontoon. But a strong finish coming from the Tasmanians, and Toowong just seemed to be just stuck in that one gear and unable to really find much of a response. They're lucky they had a bit of an advantage, but Somerville House take out the under-17 quad to go with wins in the single and double, and Toowong, it'll go down to the surge. And I think the Tasmanians are behind for all but one stroke, but the important stroke they got there for the silver medal unofficially. 4th goes to Brisbane and GPS Commercial, very close for 5th, 6th and 7th. 5th looked to be the Coffs Harbour Somerset College Lismore crew ahead of the Sydney Composite, and then back to the University of Queensland Composite and Canberra Girls Grammar placing 8th.
And the unofficial results of race 419, the under-17 women's coxed quad scull. 1st place, Somerville House. 2nd, University of Tasmania Composite. Toowong in 3rd. 4th, Brisbane GPS Composite. 5th, Coffs Harbour Composite. Sydney Composite in 6th. University of Queensland Composite in 7th. 8th, Canberra Girls Grammar. The presentation of medals for the Under-19 Men's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Bernard Savage, Rowing Australia High Performance Director. In 3rd place, Launceston College, Connor Ryan. Matthew Dickenberg. Jack Barrett. Lars Gillingham. Coach Trevor Barrett. In 2nd place, and our silver medalists, the Southport School. Harry Cox. Dougal Coleman. Harry Smith. Cormac Kennedy Leverett. Our gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Mossman Rowing Club. Felix Datto. Bjarne Ungermak. Ash Nichols. Daniel Samus. Coach Matthias Ungermak. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we have a race start in race 420, the under-17 men's quad sculls coxed. Lane 1, Brisbane and GPS composite. Lane 2, Cathedral. Lane 3, Kinross Wallaroi. Lane 4, Trinity College. Lane 5, the Southport School. Lane 6, St Augustine's. Lane 7, Cranbrook. Lane 8, Canberra Grammar.
So it is the Southport School composite crew with Nudgee College and Nudgee Coxon there, Jack Caskey, and the rowers from, or scullers from the Southport School, Isaac Mybus, Max Kossel, Patrick Long. Well, actually, he's from Nudgee. He's subbed in for Sam Gibson and Jake Heck. And Patrick Long, the national champion in the under-17 single, although it looks like he might have been subbed out once again because they were all wearing TSS colours, the Southport School from the Gold Coast, and they're now starting to be eclipsed. Strong second 500 coming from Kinross Wallaroi School. Richard King, Christopher, Henry Ponder, Henry Gibson, Cody Kelso, Harry Thompson, the coxswain, and they're coached by James Smith, who was the one of the coaches of the year in New South Wales last year, and he's coaching along with Chris Headley and the 1972 Olympian Kim Mackney, who's in his first year out at the Orange Bay School in the central west of New South Wales. So they've moved into the lead ahead of the Southport School at the halfway mark, and Southport have made a bit of a push and just edged their bow back in front. Brisbane and GPS Composite are in third place, and they're followed by St Augustine's. St Augustine's crew with Torben Ungermak, the younger brother of the winner of the under-19 men's quad scull, Bjarne Ungermak. He probably wouldn't have known that his brothers won the gold medal in that one, as they would have been doing part of their warm-up for this under-17 men's quad scull. But St Augustine's, with their links with Matthias Ungermak, who's the director of rowing at Mossman Rowing Club and also one of the coaches at St Augustine's and one of the pioneers of that relatively new rowing program. They're currently in fourth place. Trinity College, who look very good through the progressions. They're in lane number 4 from Western Australia and just back in fifth place and looking to improve on that in this third 500 metres. A resurgent Cranbrook program are in sixth place, followed by the Cathedral School and Canberra Grammar in eighth place. So in this third 500 metres, the Southport School composite with Nudgee College that have moved back ahead of Kinross Wallaroi, who made their push in the second 500 metres. But this third 500 metres has been the time when Southport School have been able to get back out and pinch a couple of seats back. And in third place is the combination from St Augustine's and Trinity College right there with them. Likewise, Cranbrook on this side of the course. So certainly their medals very much in dispute here with only 450 metres left to cover for the bulk of these crews. And it is the Southport School that are holding half a boat length over Kinross Wallaroy School in this under-17 men's coxed quad scull championship of Australia. Kinross Wallaroy in second spot, and Trinity College are finishing this race off very strongly indeed. They're starting to draw up along with St Augustine's and trying to see if they can get a bit of an overlap with the crew from Kinross Wallaroy School. They're at 35 strokes a minute at the back end of this 2,000 metre race, the Trinity College from Perth crew. Their bowman's got a very unique style of rowing. He looks like he's leaning out to the right all the time. I don't know how he does it, but he still manages to still scull pretty well with his blade work, but his body leans right out there. And they've now pushed their way up into third spot ahead of St Augustine's, and the Cathedral School are also coming home very, very strongly indeed out of lane number 2. And they've had one of the fastest back ends of the race. But at the head of the field, it is the Southport School that still lead over Kinross Wallaroy School, and the bronze medal currently in the hands of Trinity College from Perth, who have really come from nowhere in the second half of the race. So gold medal Southport, second Kinross, third to Trinity College. St Augustine's just edge out the Cathedral School for fourth. Sixth will go to Brisbane and GPS Bundaberg University of Queensland, 7th to Cranbrook, and 8th to Canberra Grammar School.
The unofficial results for the men's under-17 coxed quad scull, race 420. The winners, the Southport School. Second, Kinross Wallaroy. Third, Trinity College. Fourth, St Augustine's. Cathedral in 5th. 6th, Brisbane and GPS Composite. 7th, Cranbrook, and Canberra Grammar 8th. The presentation of the medals for the under-17 Women's Coxed Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by John Keogh, Rowing Australia's women's head coach. In third place, representing Toowong Rowing Club. And the winners of the bronze medal, Mackenzie Durbridge, Amy Bolton, Kirsten Viljon, Sophie Gerber, and Georgia Peterson. Coaches Andrew Gerber, Alex Field, and Harry Norris. Second place, and our silver medalists, representing Tasmania University, Huon and Derwent Mercantile Collegiate. Jemima Morgan, Katie King, Abby Boucher, Amy Bain, Xanthia McCarthy, coaches Mark Stott, Graham Scattergood, and Kim Morgan. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Somerville House. Phoebe Howe, Lucy Hope, Laura Chancellor, and Ella Hudson. Alexandra Sambanis-Gill. Coaches Reese Jones, Oleg Shishkin and Peter Herbert. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we have a start in race 421, the final of the under-19 women's 8. Lane 1, Launceston Church Grammar. Lane 2, Queenswood. Lane 3, Griffith University Surfers Paradise Composite. Lane 4, Warford Anglican. Lane 5, University of Queensland Composite. Lane 6, Geelong Grammar. Lane 7, Brisbane and GPS Composite. Lane 8, Friends School.
So it's the University of Queensland composite crew that are leading from the Griffith University Service Paradise, Loretto College, Marriotteville and Adelaide combination there with Zoe Malloy from the Adelaide Club. So Loretto, Marriotteville in the white colours with the gold and blue bands across the middle. And it is the University of Queensland that are out to about half a boat length's advantage as they head up towards the 850 metre mark. They're in the boat, the Marina Hatsakis. Of course, Marina Hatsakis rode the double scull with Brom and Roy quite a number of years ago. And they're heading up towards the 900 metre mark. And still in second spot, it is the Griffith University Service Paradise, Loretto College, Marriotteville and Adelaide Rowing Club combination. And Jess Scott and Lukey Smith, who won the under-19 pair, are part of that crew in lane number 3 that's currently in second spot. And moving well over towards the far side in lane number 2 is Queenwood School, the New South Wales Schoolgirl Head of the River winners this year from Saturday on this very course. They've moved into a new Sykes boat that was delivered recently, and it's in the grey boat, so they're in the very grey colours and grey boat over there, coached by Adam de Koning and Kieron Glynn. And they're in third spot, a very, very powerful crew. And they're the top 3. Walford Anglican from South Australia in lane number 4 in fourth spot. The Friends School right on this side from Tasmania in the red colours. And they're next in fifth, followed by Geelong Grammar, Brisbane and GPS Composite. And in final place, Launceston Church Grammar on the far side of the course that have a fair bit of work to do in this under-19 women's 8 if they're going to improve on that current 8th placing. So the leaders, Eliza Gray, Hilary Ballinger, Phoebe Robinson, Annabelle Needham, Holly Gall, Ella Bramwell, Georgia Warmington, Maddie Whiteman and Ashley Hockings, the coxswain, and Ned Drayden, the coach of the crew. And they're still holding sway here in this third 500 metres. And still in second spot, the Griffith University Service Paradise, Loretto College, Marriotteville and Adelaide Rowing Club Composite. Queenwood now just starting to get a bit of a challenge coming to them from the crews over towards this side. Friends School, Geelong Grammar and the Brisbane and GPS Composite with Townsville and James Cook University and St Peter's Lutheran. So 7 of the 8 8s certainly in the mix here for a sprint finish towards the line in this last 500 metres. It's only the crew on the far side of the course. That's the Launceston Church Grammar School crew that are seemingly out of contention here in this last 500 metres. And at the moment, the advantage sitting at about 3/4 of a boat length in favour of the University of Queensland composite with Adelaide and Toowong, and they've led for the bulk of this race. And leading and coming through to the 1,700 metre mark from Griffith University Service Paradise, Loreto College, Marryatville, Adelaide composite, and Queenwood still in third place and getting a challenge coming to them from Walford, and also the three crews right on this side of the course, led by the Friends School in the red colours from Hobart, Tasmania. So just 200 metres to go as they pass the final hut, which is where the sprint canoeing 200 metre races are from. And it is the University of Queensland that are holding sway and still holding an advantage that's sitting at 3/4 of a length and starting to grow a little bit as they nearly get out to a boat length and edge out to a little bit of clear water almost over the Loreto College, Marryatville, Griffith University Service Paradise and Adelaide Rowing Club composite crew are in the silver medal spot. Queenwood holding down bronze. Walford are next in fourth. Geelong Grammar are finishing off strongly and challenging Friends for fifth place. But University of Queensland composite claim the win. Second to Griffith University Service Paradise, Adelaide and Loreto Marryatville. Bronze medal Queenwood. Fourth Walford. Fifth Geelong Grammar. Friends fade to sixth. Seventh goes to Brisbane and GPS composite. And in eighth place, Launceston Church Grammar School.
The unofficial race results for race 421, the under-19 women's coxed 8. University of Queensland composite in first place. Griffith University Surfers Paradise composite in second. Queenswood third. Fourth, Walford Anglican. Fifth, Geelong Grammar. Friends in sixth. Brisbane and GPS composite in seventh. And Launceston Church Grammar in eighth. The presentation of the medals for the under-17 men's coxed quad scull champion of Australia. The medals will be presented by Ian Wright, Rowing Australia's head men's coach. In third place, and the bronze medalists from Trinity College, Alex Rossi, Luca Rossi, Jordan Tyson, Joe Pinto, Joel Taylor. Coaches Paul Bolton, Phil Urovic. In second place, and our silver medalists from Kinross Wallaroi School, Richard King Christopher, Henry Ponder, Henry Gibson, Cody Kelso, Harry Thompson. Coaches James Smith, Kim McInerney and Chris Headley. Our gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, the Southport School. Isaac Mibus, Max Kossel, Sam Gibson, Jack Heck. Jack Caskey. Please congratulate the Australian champions of 2017 and the medalists.
We now move to the final of the under-19 men's coxed 8. The current title holders, Brisbane Grammar School Composite. In lane 1, Brisbane Grammar School Composite with Canberra Grammar, Christchurch Grammar. In lane 2, Brighton Grammar. In lane 3, Toowong Unley High Composite. In lane 4, St Peter's College. In lane 5, Toowong. In lane 6, Scotch College Victoria, stroked by Teddy Webster. In lane 7, Scotch College Victoria, stroked by James Scott. In lane 8, Prince Alfred College.
Thank you, Lizzie. We're well underway through the first 500 metres, in fact, now of the final in the under-19 men's coxed 8. And leading at the 500 metre mark, it was indeed one of the two crews from Scotch College, Melbourne. Lane 6, in fact, the leading crew, 1:27.49 their time through the 500 metre mark, but only very narrowly clear. In fact, the first 5 margins on the screen, less than a second between the top 6 crews, therefore, so very close. Scotch College Victoria in 6, Toowong. Lane 5, St Peter's College Adelaide. Lane 4, the second of the Scotch College crews. Lane 7, Prince Alfred College, also from Adelaide, there in lane 8. And the Toowong Unley High Composite crew. But as they come up towards the 1,000 metre mark now and half distance in this final of the under-19 men's coxed 8, it is Scotch College Victoria lane 6 who've opened up now a bit of a gap back on the rest of the field, going through halfway in 3 minutes exactly. 3:00:00 the time for Scotch College from Melbourne. Not often you see those numbers come up on the screen. And second place, Toowong lane 5, 2.13 seconds further back, the crew from Toowong in Brisbane, ahead of then St Peter's College Adelaide, just 0.6 of a second further back in third position. And a similar margin then to the second of the Scotch College Victoria crews, racing there in lane 7. Prince Alfred College still in contention as well, along with the Toowong and Unley High Composite crew lane 3, then Brighton Grammar lane 2, and the Brisbane Grammar School Composite racing in lane 1. So approaching the final third now of this race, the final of the under-19 men's coxed 8. And the crew to watch continues to be Scotch College, Melbourne in lane 6. Rainer Gertis, Patrick Butcher, Harrison Miller, Benjamin Clark, Rupert Baxter, Louis Leder, Timothy Nothnagel, Teddy Webster, Archie Gill the Cox, James Murray the coach of that Scotch College crew, who continue to lead the field now as they approach the 1,500 metre mark of this final in the under-19 men's coxed 8. Toowong lane 5 still giving chase. Matthew Reedy, Tom Williamson, Jethro Gifford, Christopher Bunting, Jack Kibble, Morgan Appel, Alexandra Jeremijenko, Chris Thompson, coxed by Jasmine Halley, coached by Kieran Dwyer, Paul Pettigrew and Alex Field. But our leaders from Scotch College Melbourne have got almost a length now with 500 metres to race. Scotch College through first in 4:32.56. And they've extended now to 2.7 seconds on Toowong there in second place. And St Peter's College from Adelaide, the Adelaide Head of the River champions, racing in lane 4. The crew of Oscar McGuinness, Charlie Moore, William Smith, Oscar Moore, Geordie Muller, Edward Badger, Maxwell Fisher, Angus Dawson, Indran Makariji, the Cox, coached by James McRae, who of course we saw win an Australian title yesterday in the Open Men's Coxless 4. But the top 3 remain, as they have been right throughout this race. Scotch College Victoria lane 6, Toowong from Queensland lane 5, and St Peter's College Adelaide beside them in lane 4. They look to be our 3 medalists at this stage, Toowong and Unley High, lane 3, moving up into 4th place. That's Mitchell Reinhard, the Unley High rower, along with 7 or 8 from the Toowong Rowing Club in that composite crew over in lane 3. But back there in 4th place at this stage, battling out with Prince Alfred College and also Scotch lane 7. But Scotch lane 6, the leading crew, but Toowong have certainly cut back some of that margin, and St Peter's there in the yellow boat coming home quickly as well. They're inside the final 100 metres, but now and still it's Scotch College clear by half a length or so from the Toowong Rowing Club alongside them in 2nd place. And St Peter's Adelaide still there in 3rd place and closing, but it will be Scotch College Melbourne with 1 stroke to go. They come across the line now on lane 6. Scotch College first in the under-19 men's 8, 2nd to Toowong lane 5, 3rd then to St Peter's lane 4, and a bit of a gap to the rest of the field. Toowong Unley High will finish in 4th place, 5th on the far side, the Brisbane Grammar composite crew, then Prince Alfred College, then the second of the Scotch College crews on lane 7, and finally it'll be Brighton Grammar lane 2 in the under-19 men's coxed 8.
The results of that final of the under-19 men's coxed 8. First, Scotch College Victoria crew stroked by Teddy Webster. 2nd, Toowong. 3rd, St Peter's College. 4th, the composite of Toowong and Unley High. 5th, the Brisbane Grammar School composite. 6th, Prince Alfred College. 7th, Scotch College Victoria, stroked by James Scott, and 8th, Brighton Grammar. Provisional time for that race, 6 minutes, 3.77 seconds, the margins 2.77 and 1.87. The presentation of medals for the Under-19 Women's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by John Keogh, Rowing Australia head women's coach. Third place and bronze medalists, Queenwood School for Girls. Charlotte Fife. Gabby Agnew. Ellie Clubb. Sophie Houston. Amelia Johnson. Jess Robinson. Gabby Chubb. Their stroke, Ella Menzies. Their cox, Talia Barnett. The crew was coached by Adam de Koning and Kieran Glynn. Second place and silver medalists, a composite from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, Loreto College Marriattville and Adelaide Rowing Club. Hannah Sexton from Loreto. Emily Scudder, also of Loreto College Marriattville. Georgina Berry from Loreto College Marriattville. Alexandra Finley from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. Zoe Malloy from Adelaide Rowing Club. Holly Ashwood from Loreto College Marriattville. Jess Scott from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. Their stroke, Lukey Smith, also Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. And their cox, Maddie Paisley. The crew was coached by Tom Dornbos, Kane Ramon and Ron Mobbs. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, a composite from the University of Queensland Boat Club, Adelaide Rowing Club and Toowong Rowing Club. Eliza Gray from the University of Queensland. Hilary Ballinger from the University of Queensland. Phoebe Robinson from the University of Queensland. Annabelle Needham. Holly Gall. Ella Bramwell from Adelaide Rowing Club. Georgia Warmington. Maddie Whiteman. And their cox, Ashley Hockings. The crew was coached by Ned Drayden. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists in the Under-19 Women's Coxed 8. The final of the Under-23 lightweight women's quad scull is now in progress. In lane 2, a composite of Banks and University of WA. In lane 3, a composite of UTS, Mercantile, Lower Clarence Rowing Club and Sydney Rowing Club. In lane 4, University of Queensland. In lane 5, a composite of Sydney University, University of Queensland, Adelaide Rowing Club and UTS. In lane 6, ANU, Corowa and Canberra Girls Grammar composite. And in lane 7, a composite of UTS, Coffs Coast and Mossman Rowing Clubs.
And they're approaching half distance, in fact, through the 1,000-metre mark right now in the final of the Under-23 lightweight women's quad scull. There are just the 5 crews in this race. Lane 7, the UTS composite crew has been scratched, so 5 crews remain. Banks lane 2, UTS in 3, University of Queensland 4, Sydney Uni 5, and the ANU composite crew in lane 6. And certainly the best credentialed crew in this race we'd expect to be the Sydney University composite combination on lane 5, the winners of the Race for Lanes, which took place on yesterday afternoon's program. The crew from is Georgina Masters from the University of Technology, Sydney, Verena Zilm from the Adelaide Rowing Club, Madeline Williams from the University of Queensland Boat Club, and Wallace Russell now rowing for Sydney University. Wallace Russell already the winner of the Under-23 lightweight women's single and double sculls at this regatta, so going for the triple in the quad scull. She also won all 3 events at the New South Wales Championships on this course back a couple of months ago, and it is certainly that crew on lane 5, which is coached by Jason Lane, Ned Drayden and David Geely, which continues to lead this race. They had pretty much exactly a boat length at the 1,000-metre mark, 2.76 seconds it was, over the ANU composite combination lane 6. That's Bianca Gillett from the Canberra Girls Grammar School, Sarah Larkin from the Australian National University, Amy Underwood from the Corowa Rowing Club in New South Wales, and Gilly Roberts, also from the Australian National University, coached by Renee Domashens, Wesley Canny and Dafford Gwyn Jones, the ANU Composite and ACT Academy of Sport crew in lane 6. So through 1,500 metres they go now, and still it is the Sydney University, University of Queensland, Adelaide and University of Technology Sydney, a three-state composite crew there in lane 5 who continue to lead, and they've stretched it out now to 5.5 seconds over the Australian National University, Corowa and Canberra Girls Grammar School composite combination next to them on lane 6. So the two crews closest to the grandstand side, certainly in the gold and silver positions at this stage. It would be lane 3, the University of Technology Sydney composite crew, made up of Romola Davenport from the Sydney Rowing Club, Gemma Dane from the Lower Clarence Rowing Club, Megan Hester from Mercantile in Melbourne, and Rosie Beasley from the University of Technology Sydney, coached by Lachlan Carter, David Geely, and Harold Kratz back there in the bronze medal position at this stage. Ahead then of the University of Queensland lane 4, Savannah Ardrey, Alex Dennis, Portia Bennett, Lucy Coleman, and the far side, Banks and University of the Western Australia, Tiffany Brown, Alexandra Utley, Poppy Cook, and Kiara Ward. But comfortably clear, it remains this composite crews, Sydney University, University of Queensland, Adelaide and UTS. They are stretching further as they close in on the finish line now. And this very well-credentialed crew, a couple of Australian under-21 team members from last year in that boat, and Wallace Russell about to claim her 3rd national title in the space of 48 hours as they head towards the finish line. And lane 5 it is, the under-23 lightweight women's quad scull, won by Sydney Uni, University of Queensland, Adelaide and UTS, comfortably clear of lane 6. Then in second place, ANU, Corowa and Canberra Girls Grammar School. Third place will go to UTS, Mercantile, Lower Clarence and Sydney over in lane 3. Fourth place, the University of Queensland. And fifth will be the Banks and University of Western Australia composite crew.
The results of race number 423 on the programme, the final of the under-23 lightweight women's quad scull. A win for the composite of Sydney University Boat Club, University of Queensland Boat Club, Adelaide Rowing Club and UTS. Second, the composite of ANU, Corowa and Canberra Girls Grammar School. Third, a medal for the UTS, Mercantile, Lower Clarence and Sydney Rowing Clubs composite. Fourth, University of Queensland. Fifth, Banks and University of WA composite. Provisional time for that result, 6 minutes 50.94. The margin is 9.02 and 4.52. The presentation of medals for the Under-19 Men's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Ian Wright, Rowing Australia Men's Head Coach. Third place and bronze medalists, St. Peter's College. Oscar McGuinness. Charlie Moore. William Smith. Oscar Moore. Geordie Muller. Edward Badger. Maxwell Fisher. Angus Dawson. Their cox, Indran Mukherjee. The crew was coached by James McRae. Second place and silver medalists, Toowong Rowing Club. Matthew Reddy. Tom Williamson. Jethro Gifford. Christopher Bunting. Jack Kibble. Morgan Apel. Alexander Jeremijenko. Chris Thompson. Their cox, Jasmine Halley. The crew was coached by Kieran Dwyer, Paul Pettigrew and Alex Field. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Scotch College Victoria. Raina Gertis. Patrick Butcher. Harrison Miller. Benjamin Clark. Rupert Baxter. Louis Ledoux. Timothy Nothnagel. Their stroke, Teddy Webster. Their cox, Archie Gill. The crew was coached by James Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and the medalists in the under-19 men's coxed 8. We have a start in the open lightweight women's quad scull. In lane 4, a composite from Huon, University of Queensland, Melbourne University Boat Club and Toowong. In lane 5, a composite from Toowong, West Australian, Huon and UTS.
And just passing through the 1,000-metre mark now in race 424, the final of the open lightweight women's quad scull. Just the 2 boats in this race. And the lane 4 combination is actually 3/4 of the Australian crew that's been selected to race in the World Cup regattas in Europe later in the season. World Cup 2, Poznan in Poland, and World Cup 3 at Lucerne in Switzerland. The crew without Georgia Mansaro, who rode in the race for lanes yesterday, but has been medically substituted out of that boat and replaced by Caitlin Hawkins from the University of Queensland Boat Club, along with Amy James from Toowong, Alice Arch from Melbourne University, and Georgia Nesbitt from the Huon Rowing Club. So 3/4 at least of the Australian crew on show here in lane 4, the Huon Composite and National Training Centre combination. And they are certainly very comfortably clear, as you'd expect, over the Toowong Composite combination racing in lane 5. Sophie Gerapetritis from the University of Technology, Sydney, Eve Muir from the Huon Rowing Club, Susanna Gravestock from the West Australian Rowing Club, and Shelley Clark from Toowong. Another 4-state composite combination there from Queensland, Tasmania, New South Wales, and also Western Australia. But they are well behind our leading crew. Almost 10 seconds was the difference at the 1,000-metre mark. And it will be similar as they come through 1,500 metres now as well. The Huon Composite combination, of course, very comfortably in front. You may recall the race for lanes of this event took place late on yesterday afternoon's program, and in what was seen as something of a surprise at the time, the Toowong Composite crew were the very easy winner of that race by around about 15 seconds. But clearly the Huon Composite combination were saving themselves for the final, and they've gone out hard from the opening stroke and sit very comfortably in front. Almost 16 seconds now, in fact, the lead for Huon Lane 4 over Toowong Lane 5. And don't forget, we are live web streaming the final 2 days of this regatta, so you can watch these races around the country, around the world, or right here, in fact, also at the Sydney International Regatta Centre on your mobile phone. If you don't have a clear view of the course, you can log on via the Rowing Australia website and click on the button for live web streaming of the regatta. We had over 1,000 people watching at last count early in the day, and certainly plenty of fantastic racing on offer over the course of the final 2 days of this 2017 Aon Sydney International Rowing Regatta. But this race of 2 is nearing its conclusion, and predictably so. It is the 3/4 at least of the Australian crew. Amy James from Toowong, Alice Arch from Melbourne University, Caitlin Hawkins from the University of Queensland, and Georgia Nesbitt from the Huon Rowing Club, who remain very, very comfortably clear. They're well inside the final 100 metres now, and about to record a victory here at the Australian Championships for the Huon Composite NTC crew ahead of Toowong on lane 5. Just a couple of strokes to go for our leading crew here, and the open lightweight women's quad scull will be won by Huon, University of Queensland, Melbourne University and Toowong. Across the line they go now in a commanding margin. Back to the crew in second place, Toowong, the West Australian Rowing Club, Huon and UTS, with just a couple of strokes to go to complete the field now for Sophie Gerapetritis, Eve Muir, Susanna Gravestock and Shelley Clark, as they come across the line now in second place in the open lightweight women's quad scull.
And the results of that final of the Open Lightweight Women's Quad Scull. A win for the composite of Huon, University of Queensland, Melbourne University Boat Club and Toowong. In second position, the composite from Toowong, West Australian, Huon and UTS. Provisional time for that event, 6 minutes 42.73, the margin 21.76. The presentation of medals for the under-23 lightweight women's quad scull. The medals will be presented by Ray Ebbert, Rowing Queensland Councillor to Rowing Australia and Olympic team manager. Third place and bronze medalists, the composite from UTS, Mercantile, Lower Clarence and Sydney Rowing Clubs. Gemma Dane from Lower Clarence Rowing Club and the North Coast Academy of Sport. Romola Davenport from Sydney Rowing Club. Megan Hester from Mercantile. Rosie Beasley from UTS. The crew was coached by Lachlan Carter, David Geely and Harold Kratz. Second place and silver medalists, the composite from ANU, Corowa and Canberra Girls Grammar School. Bianca Gillett from Canberra Girls Grammar School. Sarah Larkin from ANU and the ACT Academy of Sport. Amy Underwood from Corowa. Gilly Roberts from ANU and the ACT Academy of Sport. The crew is coached by Renee Domichens, Wesley Canny and Daffyd Gwyn-Jones. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, the composite from Sydney University Boat Club, University of Queensland Boat Club, Adelaide Rowing Club and UTS Rowing Club. Georgina Masters from UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Verena Zilm from Adelaide Rowing Club and the South Australian Sports Institute, Madeline Williams from University of Queensland Boat Club and Wallace Russell from Sydney University Boat Club and the Queensland Academy of Sport. The crew is coached by Jason Lane, Ned Drayden and Dave Geely. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate our champions and medalists in the under-23 lightweight women's quad scull. We now have the final of the open lightweight men's quad scull. In lane number 2, a composite of Buckingham, New Norfolk and Tamar. In lane 3, a composite from Adelaide University and the University of Western Australia. In lane 4, Team Hong Kong, stroked by Sang Tung Lam. In lane 5, Team Hong Kong, stroked by Hin Chun Chu. In lane 6, UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. In lane 7, Toowong, Canberra and Sydney University composite, supported by the Queensland Academy of Sport.
So 500 metres gone in the final of the open lightweight men's quad scull. And still very tight in the early stages between a number of these crews as they start to sort themselves out. 2 international crews in this race. This is, of course, the 2017 Aon Sydney International Rowing Regatta, and we've had a good representation from our overseas crews, particularly Team Hong Kong, in these lightweight events with the 2 centre lanes of race 425, the final of the open lightweight men's quad scull. So Team Hong Kong in 4 and 5. The lane 5 combination certainly up there contending for the lead. They were narrowly in front through the 500 metre mark. That's the Team Hong Kong combination of Chun Shek Leong, Kang Yu, Kenneth Liu, Chu Mang Tang and Hin Chun Chu on lane 5, who were the narrow race leaders by just 0.23 of a second at the 500 metre mark, ahead of the lane 7 combination from Toowong, Canberra and Sydney University. Jack Hanley of the Sydney University Boat Club, Hamish Parry from Toowong, Thomas Perry from Canberra and Jack Price from Toowong. That crew coached by Kieran Dwyer, Benjamin Southwell and Donald McLaughlin. And it does seem as if that lane 7 combination now, as you look across from the side of the course, have narrowly snuck their bow ahead of Team Hong Kong in lane 5. Those two very close together as they head through the halfway mark now. 1,000 metres gone, 1,000 to go, and it is Toowong composite lane 7. Toowong, Canberra and Sydney University narrowly ahead of Team Hong Kong lane 5. Just 37 of a second now between the top 2 crews. So still remaining a very tight race, as we often see in these lightweight events. And then we go back almost 2 seconds, 1.79 in fact, to lane 6 it would be. The University of Technology Sydney and New South Wales Institute of Sport combination. That's James Waldersee, Roderick Chisholm, Matthew Curtin, James Shooter, coached by Tim McLaren and John Smythe. So it is the 3 crews on the grandstand side of the course, the camera side of the course, that currently sit in the medal positions in this final of the open lightweight men's quad scull. Next, it would be right across in lane 2, the all-Tasmanian composite combination. Alec Patterson from Buckingham Rowing Club, Oliver Marsden from Tamar, Matthew Byrne from New Norfolk, and Jacob Crow from Buckingham. Ahead then of Team Hong Kong's second combination in lane 4 of Yuk Mang Chan, Tik Lung Chan, Yi Ping Chow, and San Tung Lam. And then the 6th crew in the race, the Adelaide University and University of Western Australia combination, Ethan Aird, Jay Mummery, Mitchell Reinhard and Patrick I. Mitchell Reinhard, of course, went over the course just half an hour ago in the final of the under-19 men's coxed 8, finishing narrowly in 4th position in that race. So he's back again only 30 minutes later, and once again certainly contending for a minor medal at least. But over on the grandstand side, once again, it is Team Hong Kong now who've narrowly edged their boat back in front. The lane 5 Team Hong Kong combination with Hin Chun Chu in the stroke seat, and now back in front by almost 2/3 of a second from the Toowong, Canberra and Sydney University combination, closest to the spectator side of the course on lane 7. And in between those two, the UTS N-Swiss composite combination certainly still in contact with our leading couple of crews, and very much at least in the bronze medal position at this stage, ahead of Buckingham over on the far side, then Adelaide Uni up to 5th place, and Team Hong Kong lane 4 are now back in 6th position. But it continues to be a good race between these leading two crews who've been in front right throughout the race, and still not a great deal between them. Team Hong Kong over there in lane 5, and the Toowong, Canberra, Sydney University composite combination lane 7 are really racing for the line now. It is Team Hong Kong with their bow in front as they lead this field inside the final 100 metres. Now the response comes from the Toowong combination as they start to lift as well in the closing strokes, and they're well clear now of UTS in 3rd place. But Team Hong Kong lane 5 look to be holding on here. They've got almost a boat length now as they approach the finish line, and Team Hong Kong will win the open lightweight men's quad scull. Team Hong Kong first, Toowong, Canberra, Sydney Uni in 2nd place. 3rd will be lane 6, the UTS combination, ahead of Team Hong Kong again there in lane 4 in 4th place. Lane 2, Buckingham will be 5th, and 6th place will go to Adelaide University and the University of Western Australia.
And the results of that final of the open lightweight men's quad scull, a win for Team Hong Kong. In 2nd position, the Toowong, Sydney University Boat Club and Canberra Composite. And in 3rd position, UTS. 4th, Team Hong Kong. 5th, the Buckingham New Norfolk Tamar Composite. And 6th, the Adelaide University, University of WA Composite. A provisional time for that event, 6 minutes, 2.96 seconds. The margins 2.46 and 5.9. The presentation of medals for the Open Women's Lightweight Quad Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Ray Ebbett, Rowing Queensland Counsellor to Rowing Australia and Olympic Team Manager. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, a composite from Huon Rowing Club, Melbourne University Boat Club and Toowong. India Mackenzie from Melbourne University Boat Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport. Alice Arch, also from Melbourne University Boat Club and the National Training Centre. Amy James from Toowong and the National Training Centre, and Georgia Nesbitt from Huon and the National Training Centre. The crew was coached by Paul Newbon, Alfie Young and Alex Field. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate our Australian champions for 2017. We now have the final of the Under-23 Women's Quad Scull. In lane 4, a composite from Melbourne Rowing Club, Sydney University Rowing Club and the University of Queensland, Alton, Parker, Hudson and Thompson. In lane 5, a composite from Sydney University Boat Club and Fremantle, McIntyre, Meredith, Horton and Cox. And in lane 6, Sydney University Boat Club, Parsons for Nazaro, Simpson and Bettiga.
And some great pictures coming from the start there of the under-23 women's quad scull. Just the three crews in this race. And certainly in the centre lane, a very well-credentialed crew from Sydney University and the Fremantle Rowing Club, including, of course, 2016 Rio Olympian Genevieve Horton, who rode with Sally Keogh in the Australian double scull at the Olympics last year and has once again been selected in the Australian sculling squad for 2017, along with Rowena Meredith, also from the Sydney University Boat Club in that crew. On lane 5, of course, a squad of 8 at this stage selected on the women's sculling side of things to eventually form a quad and a double scull. But both these athletes, obviously all the athletes in this race, are at under 23 level, and Rowena Meredith and Genevieve Horton are also contesting Australian under 23 selection at the same time, I understand. So that crew in the centre lane, the full crew, Annabelle McIntyre from Fremantle, and the West Australian Institute of Sport, Rowena Meredith from Sydney University and the National Training Centre, Genevieve Horton, also Sydney University and the National Training Centre, and Serena Cox from the Sydney University Boat Club. They're coached by Alfie Young, and they are certainly comfortably away fastest of the three crews in this under-23 women's quad scull final. Through the 500 metre mark in 1:35.92, the Sydney Uni Fremantle composite combination. Ahead of lane 4, the Melbourne composite crew, and lane 6, a crew also from the Sydney University Boat Club. In second place, lane 4, it is, in fact, a predominantly Queensland crew. Lily Alton from the University of Queensland Boat Club and the Queensland Academy of Sport. Ellie Parker from the University of Queensland Boat Club and the Queensland Academy of Sport. Harriet Hudson from Sydney Rowing Club at the moment and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, but previously rode, of course, for Somerville House. And Ria Thompson of the Melbourne Rowing Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport. That crew over in lane 4, sitting in second place. Both Ellie Parker and Ria Thompson were members of the Australian under-21 team last year that competed in the Trans-Tasman Regatta Series against New Zealand, both here in Sydney and the second round of the regatta in New Zealand as well. That team will be selected once again later on for the 2017 edition of the Trans-Tasman Regatta as well. But you can see still a clear lead for the crew from Sydney University and Fremantle comfortably in the lead of this race. They're through the 1,000 metre mark now as well. And a time of 3:15.17, our race leaders from Sydney Uni and Fremantle. Ahead then of that Melbourne, Sydney and University of Queensland composite crew over in lane 4. Now 5.65 seconds between first and second, so a comfortable extension of the lead there for our top crew from Sydney Uni and Fremantle. And then in third place on this side of the course, 8.31 seconds further back, we have the crew all from the Sydney University Boat Club. Lauren Parsons, Lauren Fornasaro, Karina Simpson, Dion Bettiga, and Alfie Young and Debbie Fox, the coaches of that crew. So the three crews in the final of the under-23 women's quad scull. We'll have a new champion this year. Last year it was the Capital Lakes composite crew that took out this race. And it continues to look as if it will be the Sydney University Fremantle composite combination on lane 5, who will be the name engraved on the trophy this time around. But still about 600 metres to row for our leading crew at least. Sydney Uni Fremantle in lane 5 ahead of Melbourne Sydney University of Queensland lane 4. And then Sydney Uni lane 6 as they head towards the 1,500 metre mark. The crew's certainly enjoying perfect conditions for rowing here at day 6 of this regatta. The Sydney International Regatta Centre putting on some wonderful conditions, and really but for the rain on Thursday and a little bit of wind yesterday. It's been a fantastic regatta as far as conditions are concerned, and hopefully that will continue right across the weekend over the final 2 days of this event. Through 1,500 metres they now go, and it continues to be lane 5, Sydney University Fremantle. Annabelle McIntyre from Fremantle, Rowena Meredith from Sydney University, Genevieve Horton from Sydney University, and Serena Cox, also from the Sydney University Boat Club. That crew continues comfortably in front. They're now out to 8.44 seconds over Melbourne, Sydney, and University of Queensland in second place. Lily Alton, Ellie Parker, Harriet Hudson, and Rhea Thompson. That crew in second place, coached by David Okert, Donovan Check, and also Ned Drayden. And then we go just over 12 seconds back now to our third place crew from Sydney University, Lauren Parsons, Lauren Fornasaro, Karina Simpson, and Dion Batiga. So our race leaders now are past the 1,750 metre mark as well, and this will certainly go down as a comfortable all-the-way win to the crew from Sydney University and Fremantle. Seated to the centre of the course after a similar result in the race for lanes yesterday, and it continues to be Sydney Uni Fremantle with less than 100 metres to go now. They lead this race by probably 3 lengths or so, the Melbourne composite combination on the far side has done well to hang on over the final 500 metres of this race. And they'll have to be content with the silver medal, however, as the Lane 5 crew approaches the line now. And a big win indeed to Sydney University and Fremantle in the under-23 women's quad scull across the line now. Very comfortably in first place, our leading crew on Lane 5. Second place does go to Lane 4, Melbourne, Sydney, and the University of Queensland clubs all represented in that crew. And third place on this side of the course, just a couple of strokes to go now for the crew from Sydney University on Lane 6.
The results of the Under-23 Women's Quad Scull Final, a win for Sydney University Boat Club and Fremantle. Second, Melbourne Rowing Club, Sydney Rowing Club and the University of Queensland Boat Club composite of Alton, Parker, Hudson and Thompson. And in third position, Sydney University Boat Club, Parsons, Fornazaro, Simpson and Batiga. Provisional time for that race, 6 minutes 38.63 seconds. The margins 7.63 and 19.07. The presentation of medals for the Open Lightweight Men's Quad Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Jim Gibson, President of Rowing Tasmania. Third place and bronze medalists, UTS Rowing Club. James Waldersea. Rod Chisholm. Matt Curtin. James Shooter. The crew was coached by Tim McLaren and John Smythe. Second place and silver medalists, the composite from Toowong Rowing Club, Canberra Rowing Club and Sydney University Boat Club. Jack Hanley from Sydney University Boat Club. Hamish Parry from Toowong and the Queensland Academy of Sport. Tom Perry from Canberra Rowing Club and the ACT Academy of Sport. And Jack Price from Toowong and the Queensland Academy of Sport. The crew was coached by Kieran Dwyer, Ben Southwell and Don McLaughlin. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Team Hong Kong. Chun Shek Lung. Kang Yu Kenneth Liu. Chu Man Tang. And their stroke, Hin Chun Chu. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate our Australian champions and medalists in the open lightweight men's quad scull. Race number 427 is underway. This is the final of the under-23 men's quad scull. In lane 3, a composite of Griffith Unisurfers Paradise, Tamar and the University of WA, Vakil, Jashka, Mackenzie and Free. In lane 4, a composite from Sydney, Fremantle and the University of WA, Pensini, Armstrong, Clifton and Boakes. In lane 5, a composite from Adelaide University, Swan River, Black Mountain and ANU, Collins, Boorman, Marsh and Langsford. In lane 6, a composite of Capital Lakes, Corowa and Sydney, Giles, Kennedy, Pearsall and Greskoviak. And in lane 7, University of Queensland Boat Club.
We had a surprisingly close race for lanes yesterday afternoon in this under-23 men's quad scull, where the top 3 crews are only a couple of seconds apart. It was the centre lane here of the Adelaide University composite crew that narrowly took out that race for lanes, and that's why they sit now in the centre lane. But the crews on either side of them were very much in contention as well. Sydney composite lane 4 and the Capital Lakes composite lane 6. And as they have come now through the 500 metre mark, that is the order of the top 3. In fact, lane 5 Adelaide Uni composite just ahead of Sydney and also Capital Lakes, but there would have only been about 3.5 seconds or so from first to last in this final of the under-23 men's quad scull with 500 metres race. But they do start to spread out a little bit more now as they start to approach the 1,000 metre mark, and the 2 crews going clear. It was our race for lanes winner on lane 5, narrowly in front. Tom Collins from the Australian National University, Tyrone Boorman from the Black Mountain Rowing Club in the ACT, Sam Marsh from the Swan River Rowing Club in Western Australia, and Hugo Langsford from the Adelaide University Boat Club. That crew coached by Jason Lane, Renee Domashens and Antonio Morigiovanni. And you can see confirmation there. They are our race leaders at the halfway mark in a time of 3:01.77. And still not throwing off the challenge from the chasing crew in lane 4. Just 2/3 of a second back to second place, the Sydney composite crew. Fraser Pensini from the University of Western Australia Boat Club, Willis Armstrong from the Fremantle Rowing Club, Nicholas Clifton and Dylan Boakes, both representing the Sydney Rowing Club in that crew in lane 4. And those two have certainly put a bit of daylight back then on the rest of the field. The race for the bronze medal being led by the Capital Lakes composite crew, lane 6. Lucas Giles from Sydney Rowing Club, Nathan Kennedy from Capital Lakes, Bradley Pearsall from the Corowa Rowing Club in New South Wales, and Alex Greskoviak from the Capital Lakes Rowing Club in the ACT as well. That crew coached by Lachlan Carter, Renee Domashens and Robert Ayres, and they'd be sitting back in 3rd place ahead of University of Queensland, lane 7, Morgan Hodgson, Mac Russell, of course, who we've seen already with great success in the para-rowing events. He'll be racing for Queensland in the Interstate LTA men's single scull tomorrow, along with Mick Tander and Blaine Heseltine, and this crew coached by Zoltan Shepherd in 4th position. And over on the far side, We have Zen Vakel from University of Western Australia Boat Club, Samuel Jaschke, also from University of Western Australia, John McKenzie of Tamar, and Jackson Free from the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Rowing Club, of course, the son of former Australian rower Marcus Free, rowing for Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in the stroke seat of that Lane 3 crew. But some work to do for the crews on the extremities. The race continues in the centre lanes between Lane 5, Adelaide University, Swan River, Black Mountain, and the ANU. They've still had less than a second at the 1,500 metre mark, just 0.86 it was. Over Lane 4, the Sydney Composite crew next to them, Sydney, Fremantle, and the University of Western Australia. And it still remains very tight between those leading two crews. Back in third place, Capital Lakes, Corowa, and Sydney, with a length or so then on the University of Queensland Lane 7 and Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise Composite over the far side of the course. But it's a race between our leading two crews. It has been for quite some time. Adelaide Uni Composite in Lane 5 and the Sydney Composite Lane 4 are closing on them here as they approach the finish line. But the Adelaide crew has responded. They've seen this challenge from Sydney coming in the lane next to them, and still it is about half a length or so as these two crews really sprinted out inside the closing strokes, but pulling away in Lane 5. The Adelaide Uni Composite Club is clear now by almost a length as they go across, and Adelaide Uni Composite take out the under-23 men's quad scull. Second place, the Sydney Fremantle University of Western Australia crew alongside them in Lane 4. Third place will go into Capital Lakes, Corowa, and Sydney. Fourth, the University of Queensland. And fifth, Lane 3, the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Composite crew.
Results of the final of the under-23 men's quad scull was a win for the composite from Adelaide University, Swan River, Black Mountain and ANU. Second, the composite from Sydney Rowing Club, Fremantle and University of WA. Third, the composite from Capital Lakes, Corowa and Sydney Rowing Clubs. Fourth, University of Queensland. Fifth, Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Tamar and University of Western Australia Composite. Provisional time for that race, 6 minutes 7.89 seconds. The margins 2.22 and 6.95. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Women's Quad Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Jim Gibson, President of Rowing Tasmania. Second place and silver medalists, the composite from Melbourne Rowing Club, Sydney Rowing Club and the University of Queensland Boat Club. Lily Alton from the University of Queensland Boat Club, Eloise Parker from the University of Queensland Boat Club, both supported by the QAS, Harriet Hudson from Sydney Rowing Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, and their stroke Rhea Thompson from Melbourne Rowing Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport. The crew is coached by David Orchard, Donovan Check and Ned Drayden. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Sydney University Boat Club and Fremantle Rowing Club. Annabelle McIntyre from Fremantle Rowing Club. Rowena Meredith from Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. Jen Horton from Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre. Serena Cox from Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. The crew was coached by Alfie Young. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate our champions and medalists in the Under-23 Women's Quad Scull. Race number 428 on the programme. The final of the Under-21 Women's Quad Scull is now underway. In lane 1, Brisbane and GPS. In lane 2, UTS. In lane 3, Adelaide University. In lane 4, Melbourne University. In lane 5, the Western Australia Rowing Club. In lane 6, Sydney University. In lane 7, Mossman. In lane 8, Mercantile.
Fantastic start to the Under-21 Women's Quad Scull Final. The current title holders in this event, Griffith University Surfers Paradise, but unfortunately not represented here today in race 428. And our two top seeds in lanes 4 and 5 there, Melbourne University and the WA Rowing Club. The combinations of Marston, Melton, Caday and Cooper, coached by Matt Wilson and Annabelle Eaton from Melbourne Uni, and the WA Rowing Club combo of Zaman, Patton, Morris, Vermeersch. And coaches there, Joseph Tamigi and Chris Holliday. The crew in lane 4, I think we've got there. It's a correction. Lane 3, Adelaide University. Celia Cowan, Talia Jones, Georgia Me and Peter Terrell taking an early lead here in the first 500 metres of this 2,000 metre women's quad scull. Melbourne Uni and WA Rowing Club slipping back a little bit there. I think Melbourne Uni a little bit out the back door at this angle. We've got WA Rowing Club sitting in second place there, and then it's the crew from Mossman, Altenberger, Healy, Galloway and Gibbs sitting in the number 3 spot as they come through the 500 metre. It's Adelaide Uni through in a time of 1:40.17, with WA in second place, Mossman in third, a second behind, and then Mercantile. Sydney University over in 5th place, UTS currently sitting in 6th, Brisbane GPS in 7th, and Melbourne University in 8th position. As we move into the second 500 metres of this 2,000 metre event, the early race leaders here, Adelaide Uni, trying to put some distance on the rest of the field, but moving with them is WA Rowing Club in lane 5 and Mossman in lane 7. And those three now out with almost clear water back to the remainder of the field, sitting just narrowly in 4th place is the crew there from UTS of the O'Gorman sisters, Kate and Bridie, with Adelaide Scott and Olivia Bartram, coached by Dave Geely and Tim McLaren. Young Kate O'Gorman, a lightweight member of the under 21 Australian rowing team in 2015. Young Bridie coming up through the ranks and performing very well in some of the underage events here today. And fantastic to see, we've actually got quite a few what looks like younger siblings. We've obviously got the O'Gorman sisters, but Kira Vermeersch racing for WA Rowing Club, currently in second place there in lane 5. I think the younger sister of Hannah Vermeersch. And we've got Gemma Siblin. I think Liv Siblin's younger sister there in lane 8 from Mercantile Rowing Club as well. But the WA Rowing Club showing their form now as they come through towards the 1,000 metre mark, as they start to get some overlap on these early race leaders from Adelaide University in lane 3. But through the 1,000 metre mark in a time of 3:25, it's still going to be Adelaide Uni leading by about 1.7 seconds. WA Rowing Club in second place, and Mossman now slipping 5 seconds back, still in third, but now under a little bit of pressure with some overlap from UTS in lane 2. 5th across the line, Mercantile, Sydney Uni behind them, then Melbourne Uni starting to move up over Brisbane GPS, who have slipped from 7th back into 8th. But our top 3 at this stage remaining largely unchanged. We can see there from the side the WA crew starting to move very slowly through this boat from Adelaide University in lane 3. They've narrowed that margin now to just short of a canvas, and we can see them slowly starting to wedge up as they approach the 1,500 metre mark. And some of these ladies potentially going to be under consideration for under 23 and Australian under 21 teams here. And we can see their coaches on the far side of the course there cycling along, keeping a very close eye as WA Rowing Club starts to even up. I'd say they're pretty much neck and neck now as they approach 1,500 metres, but WA's got the momentum and now edging up into the lead over the early race leaders, Adelaide Uni. And both crews looking fairly calm and collected here as they approach 500 metres to go. There's still a fair amount of racing left to do here, and I would say Adelaide Uni still very much a danger to this fast-paced WA crew. But the WA crew not letting up here. They've now moved out to a canvas lead as they approach the final 500 metres. We'll get the splits as they come through now. But WA now starting to take control in the late stage of this race. And there they are. 5:11.78 their time through the 1500. Now a second back, Adelaide Uni in second place. Third is still Mossman, but that margin now lengthening out to 8.5 seconds. We've got UTS still in fourth, Mercantile in fifth. Sixth now is the crew from Melbourne Uni, so bettering their place again by one. Sydney slipping back into seventh place, and Brisbane and GPS now still in eighth position, 1.6 seconds behind. With 500 metres left to run, coming a little bit closer now into this glassy water here at a beautiful start to day 6 of the 2017 Australian Rowing Championships. And we can see these fantastic conditions that Penrith is so renowned for most of the year round at these regattas here at Cirque. But this WA crew have had a cracker of a race. They did start out a little bit slow, and they've had to do the work in the first 1,000, but they've done very well indeed through the second and third 500s. A great middle K of the race, and they've kept up the pace, putting the pressure on this Adelaide Uni boat, who led so well from the start. The Adelaide Uni boat had almost clear water over the rest of the field, but just didn't have the legs to carry it through the centre of the race as we come now to 100 metres left to go, and the WA crew winding. Adelaide Uni still in second place comfortably, and third is still Mossman, but they're holding off a late challenge now from UTS on the far side. I think UTS may have left it a little bit late. Almost clear placings here now as WA comes through looking very tidy indeed. They're going to pick up a resounding win in this under-21 women's quad scull. And there they go, a very well-raced event by the WA Rowing Club girls. The second is going to be Adelaide Uni in lane 3. Third, by about a length, is going to be Mossman Rowing Club in lane 7. Then on the far side, it'll be UTS in lane 2. Fifth will go to the crew in lane 8 from Mercantile. Sixth is going to be Melbourne Uni. Seventh, Sydney Uni in lane 6. And on the far side, finishing up our final, will be Brisbane GPS in lane 1 with 8th place.
So confirming those results in the under-21 women's quad scull, a win for West Australian Rowing Club. Second, Adelaide University Boat Club. Third, Mossman Rowing Club. Fourth, UTS. Fifth, Mercantile. Sixth, Melbourne University Boat Club. Seventh, Sydney University Boat Club. Eighth, Brisbane and GPS. Provisional time for that event, 6 minutes 56.74. The margins 5.28 and 6.64. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Men's Quad Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Jim Gibson, President of Rowing Tasmania. Third place and bronze medalists, the composite of Capital Lakes, Corowa and Sydney Rowing Clubs. Lucas Giles from Sydney Rowing Club. Nathan Kennedy from Capital Lakes. Bradley Pearsall from Corowa. Alex Greskoviak from Capital Lakes. The crew was coached by Lachlan Carter, Renee Domichens and Robert Ayers. Second place and silver medalists, the composite of Sydney Rowing Club, Fremantle Rowing Club and the University of Western Australia. Fraser Pensini from the University of Western Australia. Willis Armstrong from Fremantle. Nicholas Clifton from Sydney Rowing Club and Dylan Boakes from Sydney Rowing Club. gold medalists and champions for 2017, the composite from Adelaide University Boat Club, Swan River, Black Mountain and ANU. Tom Collins from ANU and the ACT Academy of Sport. Tyron Boorman from Black Mountain and the ACT Academy of Sport. Sam Marsh from Swan River Rowing Club and the WA Institute of Sport. And Hugo Lansford from Adelaide University Boat Club and the South Australian Sports Institute. Crew coached by Jason Lane, Renee Domichens and Antonio Moragavani. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate our Australian champions and medalists in the under-23 men's quad scull.